and Chuck Schumer don't get too close. Joining me now, Karine Jean-Pierre, spokesperson for MoveOn.org. We also have Democratic strategist. She's also a Democratic strategist who worked for President Obama. We also have Brian Darling, former senior aide to Senator Rand Paul. So, Karine, this really has been a thematic over the last week and a half as President Trump has reached across the aisle and seems to be making deals with what should be his political opponents, but then getting some progress along the way. Should Democrats, despite some of the criticism, now trust this president in cutting deals?
I think the Democrats need to continue to stand their ground. I think make it very clear to Donald Trump, which I believe Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have done that, which is they want to have a clean DREAM Act and make sure that we save these, we continue to protect these 800,000 dreamers. And I think they've done that. Everyone keeps talking about this grand deal that Donald Trump made, but there was no grand deal. I mean, the Democrats came and held their ground, and they said, this is what we want. We'll give you 3 months to fund the government, and we really want to make sure that we figure out how to save the dreamers, the DACA recipients. And Donald Trump said, okay. They didn't give up anything. If anything, there was no middle ground that was found. They were the winners out of that discussion. And I think as long as they stand their ground, then they should continue to talking to Donald Trump. The moment that he does it, they should walk away from the table, and they should proceed with caution with him. Absolutely.
Also, Brian, when we look at what this does for the leaders, Mitch McConnell, as we look at Speaker Ryan, this put them on their heels as they move into critical decisions in the coming weeks. What must they do to regain some political capital here and be able to, from this White House's perspective, get something done with him?
Well, they have to pass something. One of the big problems that Mitch McConnell has had and Paul Ryan has had is the fact that they haven't passed a full repeal and replace of Obamacare, the fact that they haven't done an infrastructure bill, the fact that they haven't even started tax reform. These are all big problems. Donald Trump wants them to solve these problems. And when you talk about DACA and the deal that's being worked out, I don't think it's a bad deal if you get increased border security in addition to DACA. I mean, it seems like that would be the best of both worlds for both parties. But I think some on the left are going to try and use this as an issue. They don't actually want to solve the problem. They want to keep it fresh, and they want to beat up Republicans with these types of issues.
We just got this in, Karine. I want to get your thought on this from Ken Delanian, NBC's Ken Delanian and Casey Hunt, that Michael Cohen will testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee on Tuesday. That the testimony comes as committee investigations are intensifying this month, both on the House and Senate side. You know, the 4 investigations that we've been reporting on. Michael Cohen, for those unfamiliar with him, has been a very important part of President Trump's business and political affairs for years. And the Senate committee has already interviewed Jared Kushner, as we know here, Karine. So this is moving along quite quickly this month, as both our NBC reporters have been telling us. What do you make of Michael Cohen now having to testify?
I think that says a lot. I think that says that they're really following the money. Which is really important to do, especially when you're talking about Trump and his organization and his dealings in the past, and clearly this relationship with Russia, trying to figure out getting behind what happened here. And so I think that they're just getting closer, and I think that this is a great sign. This is a good sign of that.
Brian, the money trail. This, as I was mentioning earlier, that Robert Mueller bringing in somebody who is an expert in prosecuting issues of money laundering. We have this Michael Cohen, somebody who's very familiar with President Trump's business dealings. This could really, again, mean so much. How would you reflect on this development of Michael Cohen?
Well, I'm worried that this investigation is going totally in the wrong direction. It appears that the Justice Department is just setting up a bunch of perjury traps, and they're basically criminalizing politics. Our starting point in this investigation was investigating the Russian connection to the Trump campaign and to see if there was any Russian involvement in the American election. Well, we're getting far afoot of that. It's just basically trying to catch a number of individuals in perjury traps, get them to testify before before Congress, see if they've said anything that's not true, and try and lock them up. And I don't think that's a good idea.
But Brian, wouldn't it be that potentially through the financial dealings, there will be indications, and one of those sources in looking at his financial background, his tax returns, right? And if that does come up, if these deals are reflected that are in question about potential dealings with Russia, not only before but during the election, would that not be logical based on going after Michael Cohen?
Yes, I mean, it is important to know the facts, but also we have yet to see any evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians as if they fix the election. I don't think that ever happened. I don't think it's true. The only evidence we have is one meeting between Donald Trump Jr. and some Russian individuals who did a bait and switch where they promised all this information about Hillary Clinton and they never produced. So I feel like we are getting into the territory of criminalizing politics and just trying to use this as a way to go after Trump people.
Karine, do you believe that now Michael Cohen, we're just getting this in here to MSNBC, again from NBC's Ken Delaney and Casey Hunt, just within the last 10 or 15 minutes, that he will be testifying before the Senate Intelligence Committee on Tuesday. Do you believe that this is what Brian is saying, that this is a quote-unquote witch hunt?
No, not at all. I mean, I think you hit it right on the mark, Richard, when you said, well, the tax returns, right? We have not seen Donald Trump's tax returns. We don't have no idea of what are the dealings that he was doing potentially with Russia. And so this is a real key thing. If he had done that, if he had just shown us the taxes like he said he would, we probably wouldn't be here. We probably wouldn't have this conversation right now. But Mueller and the congressional investigators are doing all that they can to get to the bottom of Russia and to understand exactly what happened. Was there collusion? Was there a crime? And you got to start from someplace.
All right, Karine Jean-Pierre, Brian Darling, thank you. And again, the news just into us, breaking news that Michael Cohen will testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee on Tuesday. Those